Yo, peeps. No, just kidding. We're back with the review I'm doing of my notes of from an app for a class that I'm taking. It's called Aztec Software Study Material. So it's interdisciplinary material. We have reached the section, we're doing mathematics. So the next section we have is continuing with some more math. Um, so this is real world applications, which means you have to be able to solve in the real world like problems using information that you're given. And there are different ways of solving problems, and you have to be able to combine different math skills in a single problem in order to reach a solution that you're looking for in math. So these are the following steps outlining how you solve like a word problem, or a math problem, which you need to break down into pieces in order to solve. First, you read the word problem carefully, making sure you read the entire question and you know what you are asked to find. Or what you're asked to calculate. So you have to make sure you weed out unneeded information that you do not need to answer the wrong question. So you can use a variable if that helps you, like x, for example, to represent unknown quantities that you're looking for. The next step, you would figure out what information that you need in order to solve. You look for quantities that you're given, like any dimensions or numbers, and you should make sure you include units when you're taking notes. So don't just write numbers, also include units to be clear. The next step is you have to use the right strategy for solving each problem. So look for keywords to figure out what operation you need to find the answer. So some keywords are like sum, in all, multiplied by, divide evenly, increase, decrease, exceed, area, perimeter, etc., or how many more. In the next step, you can also use a picture or a diagram if that helps you in solving your problems, especially in questions about geometry, shapes, angles, x and y coordinate planes, or anything visual that instead of just writing equations or whatnot, that may help you in addition to your equations, whatnot. Okay, and then the final step, read the problem again, make sure you didn't overlook anything, and make sure the answer is reasonable and logical and makes sense. You should also double check your work if you have time in order to make sure your equations and your arithmetic are correct. You didn't make any stupid mistakes. For example, problem given. So somebody has a running goal distance of 50 miles, for example, or walking, whatnot. So the distance they have left to walk in order to reach their goal is 10.5 miles. And the question is not how many miles have they already walked, so you have to be careful what the problem is asking, so don't assume. Read the entire question. Number of days that are left to walk is 6 days. So they want to know how many miles you have to walk each day remaining in order to reach the goal. So basically there's 6 days left. You have to walk 10.5 miles in 6 days, and you will therefore find x by dividing the number of miles by the number of days to find how many miles per day you need to walk to reach your total goal of the month. I guess this person fell behind or whatnot. Anyway, okay, next section we're doing is comparing and ordering numbers. This is kind of intuitive. So obviously, when you have your number line, you have 0 in the middle, positive numbers to the right, and negative numbers to the left. And they obviously go all the way to infinity on either side. So the numbers get smaller to the left as they increase and positive, and get bigger on the right, on the positive side. And this is not taking into account magnitude, because magnitude is the absolute value of each number. So it's not taking into account the magnitude, which is the distance from 0. It's just talking about the values of the numbers. Then just terminology here. If you have a big number like in the millions, the place values are referred to in the following way. So if you have 2 million, this is the millions spot, and then you have the 100,000s spot, then the 200,000, and then 10,000s spot, for example 40,000, then the thousand spot, for example 3,000, then the hundreds, example 500, tens, 40, ones, the number 7. Then for decimals, you're going to have the opposite. So tenths, you add a th at the end, tenths. Then you can have, so that's like 0.5. And then hundredths, you add a th, so like 0.56. Then the thousands with a th, 0.561. Then the 10,000ths place, 0.5617. Then the 100,000s, etc. Millions. Okay, so it says again, when you add a 0 to the end of a decimal, it has no effect on the value. However, at the end of a decimal. So, and then so if you're given two numbers and asked to compare which is bigger and their decimals, so like 115.984 and 115.98, in order to make it easy to compare the two, you would add a 0 in the thousands place, so it would become 115.980. So then you could compare easily. So since 4 is bigger than 0, the first number would be bigger. So you compare numbers one place value at a time. That will make it easier. Next, fractions represent a part of a whole number, as do decimals. So the denominator of a fraction represents how many parts are in total. The numerator represents how many parts that you have left out of that total remaining. So on the number line, you don't just have to have whole numbers, you can also have fractions and decimals as well. And if you do have fractions on a number line, all the denominators have to match. They all have to be the same. And that way you can compare easily just the numerators in order to find which fraction is larger and which is smaller, just by looking at the numerators, since the denominators are the same. If you have a denominator that is different, you have to change it to be the same in order to compare the fractions. So absolute value again is the magnitude or the distance from the 0, regardless of if it's a negative number or positive. It's just the distance. We'll continue in the next